Hello there, everybody, and welcome to another episode here on Good Guy Sports. I'm your host, Jackson Gerke, alongside with our co-host, Mike Roby, and the two Blakes, Blake Gerke, B.L. Lumberger. We will have a guest join us momentarily whenever we can, if and when that happens. But in the meantime, we will. But in the meantime, we will talk. We will talk some we will talk some Stanley Cup
What's up, the
playoffs. Well,
Hurricanes,
yeah, well, I
baby?
did.
How about
That's
those
right.
Canes, huh?
But yes, that's right. We'll get to all that in a second. But um, but for
Because of the
no, but yeah,
Hurricanes. Okay,
no,
okay,
wait, just hold that thought for a second, Blake, because
okay.
I do
Sorry.
have some
The
have
Stanley
important
Cup. We haven't been there in a
important.
while. Kind of excited. No,
I
wait,
know
not
you're
yet. Not
excited.
sorry, not yet, not
Don't
yet. I don't
jinx
want
it.
to
Don't
ruin it.
jinx it.
Yeah, don't
Don't
jinx
jinx
it.
it, Blake.
Sorry, tonight.
Gotta
That
beat the
thought.
Habs tonight.
That's right.
We will get that. We
What's
will
our
get
what's
our
our first
thoughts.
topic today, Jack?
Well, no, we will get that thoughts in a second, but we will get that thoughts in a second. But I do want to send our thoughts and prayers to Claude Lemieux, who passed away suddenly. We will not get into any of the details of the cause of death because we leave that to the professionals and investigators. That's not what we do on our part. We will leave it to them. But on the ice, he was a beloved hockey player who made his debut in the NFL draft, and he was one of the torchbearers in one of the Canadiens game 2 nights ago, and that he by far was he has won the Stanley Cup 4 times in his career with the Avalanche in the '96 season. And if you remember back in the day, he was beloved in the hockey fight with those Red Wings in that ESPN series that we saw back in 2022, and that was one of the beloved that he is that he is beloved with his children and family, that he was by far, I think, one of the hockeyiest players to remember by far in the sport of hockey in general, in the game that they have loved, Blake, and that's really a sad day in the hockey world. But but his family and loved ones are with him, and we are thinking of them and praying and hope that the Canadians can cheer themselves, even though they're only down against our Carolina Hurricanes. But but I'm sure we'll get to that in a second. But brother Blake, but but against Red back in the day, but brother Blake, he was beloved in this game, Lemieux, of the game of hockey, that he was probably the Hall of Famer and one of the best, one of the legends of the game that hockey has ever seen ever, and back in the '80s and the '90s. But Blake, certainly a legend in the sport of hockey, and for the Canadiens, for a player that will be missed, Blake.
For sure, for sure. He was a legend of the game. Sad to see that news, but obviously, yeah, he is. Hopefully, uh, the Habs will maybe get a victory in his honor. But yeah, that series is going into a pivotal game 5 tonight with Carolina up 3-1. Should we do a little preview of that one? You think?
Let's switch gears and turn our focus now into games in turn our focus into Game 5 of the pivotal Stanley Cup final, where the Canadians are on the brink of elimination, where the Carolina Hurricanes. I know Blake Lomberg decided we will get to his thoughts in a second, but I do want to say the Carolina Hurricanes have a 3-1 series lead in large part because they feel comfortable and they have success playing on the road rather than they do at home. And the Canadians just play are the better road team than they are at home, which is weird to say, but that's just how the series have been played out lately. And so far, if you ever watched any of those games of the series, it felt like you were about to. Uh, it felt like to me you were about to get and jump on and about to jump and hop on this roller coaster ride. That's what the series felt like in their last game in Game 4 in Montreal, where the Canadians had more shots on goals. The Hurricanes had more shots on goals than the Canadians
Ooh,
did
lit
in
him
Game
up,
4.
Jackson. You lit him
And
up.
The Hurricanes have had
and
more shots on goal than I think there are people in this universe. It seems like they just get a shot on goal every second. I mean, they're
And wasn't it the
absolutely
goalie?
peppering the goal.
Wasn't it his birthday this last time, the goalie's birthday? And when we had so many shots, like that was his. The joke was that was his birthday present. Well, just
Yeah.
allow us to shoot.
Tough, tough way to
Well,
celebrate your birthday.
w- when the Montreal fans are starting to yell out, "Shoot the puck," you know things aren't going well for you.
It's true. It's true. You have to say the Hurricanes have really capitalized on their position here. I think that game four was really, it's obvious to say now, but it really was the turning point. It was you mean the series got off to a shaky start for Carolina. Obviously, we had the rest versus rust debate in terms of the big layoff they had after their sweep of Philadelphia and the sweep before that in the prior round as well. And the Montreal came to play in that game one in Raleigh, scoring 6 goals. But you have to say Carolina has bounced back in the way that we'd expect. Obviously, games 2 and 3 coming down to an overtime winning goal. So it's been a tight series for sure. But I think that game four, you have to say Montreal at home. The crowd was up for it. They really just laid an egg, didn't they? And Carolina capitalized on that comprehensive victory. So we'll see. This is do or die for obviously for Montreal here. Game five in Raleigh with a potential ticket to the Stanley Cup Finals on the line. We'll talk about the other side of the bracket, I'm sure, here in a second. But yeah, I think Carolina has just, apart from the aberration of game one, they've really just gone about business and done what they've done in the first 2 rounds, and put the smackdown on Montreal so far.
I'll tell you what. The only thing that was that the only winning part about that game was when Montreal had two guys in the penalty box, 5-on-3, and for like a minute and 40 seconds, it was 5 against 3, and we didn't get one shot off. And that's the only win they had that game, I feel like.
For sure. Yeah, they've really haven't been able to capitalize Montreal to on any big moments. Haven't been able to really take advantage of the opportunities they've gotten in these past couple games. Obviously, the overtime goals. It just seems like Carolina, which makes sense, is the more experienced playoff team. They seem to just be finding goals in the right time. Obviously, the two overtime winners in games 2 and 3, no exception there. And so I think Montreal has done pretty valiantly to get to this point, but I think the playoff experience, obviously you got the big three, Aho, Jarvis, and Svechnikov. I think we discussed a little bit in the past about in the first 2 rounds. They haven't even really been, obviously Aho has come on here as of lately. But you have to say it's a complete team, the Hurricanes. I look at guys like Logan Stankoven. I look at I think Taylor Hall got the spear. They're just a strong team back to front, and they have the firepower in the form of Svechnikov, Aho, Jarvis, but they have the full roster to back it up. And so this
Miller
team,
time.
exactly. So this team can beat you in a lot of ways, and they look to be a scary proposition.
Mm,
So I think Carolina closes it out tonight, personally,
yeah.
in
Well,
my prediction.
they also have one of the best goalies, if not the best
Got
goalie in the league.
yes, we got to give our props to Freddie Anderson, of course, who's really putting on quite the clinic here in the playoffs. Apart from game one where he gave up a lot of goals, he's been outstanding. You have to say,
Mhm.
probably putting on the best goaltending performance in the postseason. Maybe we can discuss other
Mhm.
players, but you'd be hard pressed to find a better goaltender so far in this
Yeah.
cup in the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah. Well, I think game one was probably an aberration, and it's probably a good thing that it did happen.
Right. It was kind of a wake up call to the system, wasn't
Hmm.
it?
Yeah. I mean, their acquisition, the Canes acquisitions, helped boost their roster, no doubt, and they're made for the playoffs. I think we'll see Montreal back next year in the next couple of years because they're a very young team. But for now, they are young and not as uh, you know, they haven't been in the playoffs. so they don't have that experience yet. But I think you'll see Montreal coming back, but not tonight.
Fair.
That's a good. That's very fair. Very fair, Mike. And you make a great point because, like I said before, the Canadians play comfortable on the road, and they're trying to do everything they can to stave off elimination. And Suzuki has been struggling lately, along with Cole Caulfield and some veterans on this team. But if they continue to play like this, in their from their last game, then they're then they're then I'm then they're probably going then they're go, probably going to be packing their bag in their locker and heading on vacation somewhere in the tropics if that happens. That's how I see the series playing out. But if you look at the series overall when leading 3-1, most of the time, anytime you see it, a team in the NHL have a 3-1 series lead, whether it's in basketball or the NBA or Major League Baseball, oftentimes it's never happened in the NBA where they trailed from 3-1 and come from behind. It's happened once before in the NHL in the conference finals. The last team to do it was the New Jersey Devils against the Philadelphia Flyers in the 2000 Eastern Conference Finals was the last team to do it. So it really shows you of how whenever a team leads, it just shows you how much success you had and that you have a big advantage. And that is our Carolina Hurricanes, and they do have a shot and a chance to try to close things out, but everything on the line where the Canadiens were actually if you can believe it, they were actually that that at the same time where you have a Canadiens game trying to stave off elimination and try to play another game to try to keep their season alive and do everything you can versus a Carolina team who has made it to the Eastern Conference Finals at least 4 or 5 times and have never and and have never got over the hump. And in this big stage, in front of the crowd in Raleigh, a big game, and 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 the Hurricanes know and their players know that everything's not going to be easy. They call it the harsh tribute to win in sports for a reason, and that's really how hockey should be played by. And
So I think
so
we all think that sounds like we all think Carolina will get this closed out eventually, if not tonight, definitely before the end of the month. Should we talk
yes,
about their potential opponent
yes,
in the Western Conference?
yeah, yes. We'll get that in a second.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll get that in a second. We'll get to Vegas in a second. I know you want to talk a lot about them. I'll get to them in a second. But
what do you got?
but all I know is that if you ever been to the Bell Center in Montreal, well, if
I
you
have
think
not.
about if you haven't already, I would put it on your bucket list because it's a special place. And if you walk in the arena, it's like a museum full of memorabilia and trophies in there. They are like the New York Yankees, Green Bay Packers, and the Celtics and Lakers of hockey. It's really just that, and I think it just shows you how special they are, and the country of Quebec and the French Canadian speaking language is their culture up there and how special it is up there, and people from there can tell you all about that, especially with the company that my brother works with, who may have some friends from there, but they can tell you all about it. Um, but I can tell you that the Canadians are starving, and they are hoping to get to the Stanley Cup final, but it's not going to be easy, like everybody said. That yes, I would love to have the Hurricanes move on to finally break through to reach the Stanley Cup final because everything has not been easy because the Eastern Conference field was so wide open that Florida was their enemy in the last few seasons because it was like David and versus Goliath in the Eastern Conference Final for the hockey for the last few years, and so now to finally have a chance to try to break through tonight and just everything on the table to win the table that the Canadiens, but at the same time, where everything's on the line at the same time, the Montreal Canadiens are trying to get back to the Stanley Cup final, and they have been in it before a few years ago when they lost to Tampa to the Tampa Bay Lightning about a few back in 21 to 6 games, I believe, in that series, and a few years ago. And the Canadiens, believe it or not, were actually the last team to win the Stanley Cup back in the year that I was born in 1993. So lots at stake, Blake, for what the Eastern Conference has in store for us tonight.
Lots at stake, but I think it's pretty clear that Carolina is going to be the one advancing to the Cup final here. I mean, we give credit to Montreal, and they deserve a lot of credit for getting to this point. But the class of Carolina will carry them to the Cup final, I think, in my opinion, which
It'll
will
be
be
24 years since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. That is staggering.
Yeah,
It's their
Crazy.
sport. That's
Crazy
staggering.
to believe.
I think probably the best team from Canada that people would have put their money on probably still might have been Edmonton. They obviously had a pretty disappointing playoffs, exiting in the first round to Anaheim, and so Montreal was sort of their last hope. But yeah, I mean, Toronto was one of the worst teams in the league. Ottawa scraped into the playoffs, didn't put up much of a fight against Carolina, and then obviously Edmonton had a disappointing playoff exit. There's some question marks there about McDavid and his future with that franchise. So Canadian hockey is, I think we'll be waiting another little while until we see, let alone a Cup finalist or a Stanley Cup winner, Blake, to your point. So the drought continues. All right, Jackson, should we talk about the Western Conference? We have obviously...
Yes, the Vegas Golden Knights, if you can believe it, they upset and they blown out and they
sweep
and a complete sweep and a shocking upset over the President Trophy Finals, the Colorado Avalanche. They thought they were favored by one of the favorite teams to win the Stanley Cup, but they got beat and they got upset by Jack Eichel and this Vegas Golden Knights team. The Vegas Golden Knights are golden. John Tortorella, who Coach Torts, who actually won a Stanley Cup with the Tampa Bay Lightning back in the 2004 03 season with Tampa Bay, and now he gets another shot and opportunity at a Stanley Cup, and hoping Vegas stays golden for a shot for a second consecutive Stanley Cup. They've been in the Stanley Cup before against Oklahoma Mike's Capitals back in 2018, but since then Vegas is hoping and staying hungry for a shot for another cup, and yet Jack Eichel and this Vegas team out there in Vivo Las Vegas, for those fans that this Golden Knights team, just Brandon Knight and Mark Stone and those guys, Jack Eichel, who I believe those veterans and they really stepped it up in my opinion, and so Tanner and Colton and Nick Dowd and those guys and Mark Stone and those guys and John Tortorella, anywhere he's been in the league, and so the work that John Tortorella has done, well, anywhere he's been, he's found a way to turn a hockey team around, and that's really the hard work that he's done lately.
Apart from Philadelphia.
Well, of course, Philadelphia, Columbus, Tampa Bay, to name a few, and so. And so,
Jackson, let me just get my take off my chest here. I'm sick of the Vegas Golden Knights, man. I mean, this team has been in the league for a decade, and they make it to 3 Cup finals and they've been founded in 2017. I mean, some of these teams, like we're mentioning, historic franchises here and there, they haven't been to the Cup final, never sniffed a Stanley Cup in so long, and here we have the new money Vegas Knights. I mean, I'm rooting against them. It looks like it's going to be Carolina, so I'm rooting against them anyway. But this Vegas Knights team, I mean, they just have, they say that you need luck to win the slots or hit on blackjack in Vegas, and man, this Vegas team really seems to have the roll of the dice. Because not to say it's lucky to be Colorado Avalanche for nothing. It's far from
Yeah,
lucky.
yeah.
I'm
John's
being a bit
right.
I'm being a bit
Sorry,
I'm being a bit facetious there,
sorry,
obviously,
Blake.
but
You're sorry, Blake. So
oh
he's previously coached with the New York Rangers, the
yeah,
Lightning, the Canucks, Blue Jackets, and Flyers, and the Golden Knights. So
So
sure.
so
anywhere,
he can't keep a job then.
He's been around the block, and
I'm not
obviously
saying
you
he can
mentioned it.
keep a
You
job.
mentioned it, Jack. He was a late
Yeah,
addition to this Vegas team, and got to give him credit. He just kind of came in there at the end of the regular season and put some pieces in play. So yeah, I don't know, Mike. What'd you make of that WCF, man? I mean, I really thought Colorado was going to
Yeah.
make it, but I mean, it was crazy.
Well, one of the things was looking at earlier today is the regular season stats. You look at the goal differentials. Carolina is a 56. Vegas is a 15. I mean, it's just, you know, day and night. So that just means that a 56 goal differential is the Canes scored 56 more goals than they gave up, whereas Vegas scored only 15 more than they gave up. And you look at the points, Carolina is 113 and Vegas is 95. So, the playoffs are brand new brand new season. And, everything is thrown out the window. But you look at that, the Canes have got a stacked team. Canes will win in 6, if not 5.
Okay, okay.
They got it. They got a guy. I feel like the weight of the team. There's a guy. He's got a great last name. I can't remember what it is, but I feel like the weight of the team just rides on his shoulders, and he just does so well. Jackson, you know what I'm talking about? He's got a great last name. I can't remember the guy's name. You know what I'm talking about for the Hurricanes?
um, you're talking
Great
about
last name.
you're talking about Jackson Blake.
Oh, that guy. Two great names.
Heard
Yeah,
of him.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's him. That's
Best
him.
combination of names.
That's him.
People are saying, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I listen, Mike. I agree. I think your Capitals obviously won their first Stanley Cup against Vegas.
Mm.
I think Carolina wouldn't be their first Stanley Cup, but their first in 20-year anniversary. I'm wearing the little vintage shirt as well,
Yeah.
actually. So I think
Now,
there's some symmetry there. I think Carolina gets their first cup in 20 years
Yeah.
against beating that team of Vegas like your
I hope
Capitals did.
I hope you've watched that since.
Well, yes, no, I did. I gave it a good cycle. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. But yeah,
And
I think.
yeah,
Go ahead, Jack. Sorry.
sorry. If that happens, by the way, like you mentioned, Blake, we could be looking at the two coaches going at each other against Rob Bendamore winning a Stanley Cup in 2006, the decades of the 2000s, against John Tortorella when he won with Tampa Bay in 2004. So,
Man, you really like John Tortorella, huh? I mean,
well, I don't know, Rob Bendamore and John Tortorella. I don't think they're going
how
to.
about a love for Rod Brindamore,
I don't
maybe? I
think they're
mean,
going to get a lot. I don't think they like each other, but I can tell you this: this could be one of the Stanley Cups that could probably go to like 7 games,
maybe.
and Rob Bendamore and John Tortorella and those guys battling each other. It's going to be very it, interesting to watch if we happen to get
let me let me
if,
ask you
that matchup to happen.
let me
Yes,
ask you guys the $1 million question. If the Hurricanes win tonight, will the Prince of Wales trophy be touched by
No
any of the
chance.
players on
No
the team?
chance.
Or
They
will
know
they
better
leave it
than
on the
that.
ice? They will
They know
not.
better than that.
The Prince of Wales trophy will not be touched. Blake
Never
Gurkey.
touch the Prince of Wales. No, no, no. You
Mm,
gotta leave that one. They've got the mission in their
bad
sight
luck.
lines.
They're
Bad
gonna
luck.
let
yeah.
the Zamboni run over it.
Oh, really? Is that going to happen? Well, also know if we get the Canes well, ninth Stanley Cup final matchup, if Carolina gets to win and close out the series, well, before I can say this, I can say that our family has been good luck charms with the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. If we get the Stanley
Ooh.
Cup final and we win the Stanley Cup final, now one game at a time, I can ahead of myself. But if that happens, well,
Mm.
wouldn't that be a dream come true? Boy, wouldn't that be a dream come true for our for your household family, wouldn't it? Well, that would be something. I'm sure. I'm sure it would. But also to keep in mind that both Vegas and Carolina are one of the respective NHL teams that has a siren. So this is going to be something.
Yeah.
So this is going to be the battle of the
You
sirens.
love a good siren, don't you?
If that if we get the matchup and if that were to happen for that
Yeah.
if we get that matchup, that would be very interesting to watch. It once the game switches to Carolina and Vegas, that would be something to keep in mind.
Keep an eye on the sirens.
Yes, if we happen to get that matchup, that's something that I will have my eye on.
Absolutely, absolutely. Jack, should we jump to a little bit of basketball talk before we close out here today?
Yes. So I do want to so I do want to update everybody on the situation with the New York Knicks are in the NBA Finals. They swept those LeBron-less Cavaliers, and James Harden, who has yet to make an appearance in the NBA Final, will still ever get over the hump. And Don Mitchell, the Cavaliers
sound like Stephen A. Smith.
Well, that's exactly who I sound like.
Jackson A. Smith over here.
And I want to speak for him, and I hope he knows all about me, since I want to be like him one day. You better believe it. And I hope he listens to our.
I think you've got better takes, actually,
right,
personally.
Right. Well, that's true. But at the same time, I really hope that he listens to our sports show. But I hope he does and knows all about me one day. But you never know. Anyway, so the New York Knicks, as far as things go right now, so the Knicks are in the NBA Finals for the first time since 1999 and 94 and in 1973, and
it's been a while for them.
Yes, and they haven't. Yes, it has, and so.
They have not won a championship since 73.
73. Yes, thank you, Mike. 73. And so
it's a big drought for that size of a franchise, isn't it?
Yes, and so
53 years.
That's a long time. But and so yes, and so now from what I'm hearing, wait for some. I do have some injury news to report, and that I have to get I have to get into.
Okay, go ahead.
Mitchell Robinson from the Knicks. He is going to be playing in the NBA Finals, but he's going to be wrapped up in a wrist playing with his pinky hand. So that's something that watchers keep an eye on, because without him, the Knicks are going to be short-handed, and they're probably not going to be whoever. If it's going to be San Antonio and Oklahoma City, that's going to be a pivotal must-watch Game 7. That game's going to be televised, and everybody's going to be watching on TV, and it's going to be, and everybody's going to be glued into to that Game 7 in Oklahoma City on Sunday. And so, whoever the Knicks face, whether it's the Spurs or the Thunder, is probably going to be facing a lot of pressure and going to be a little bit more short-handed and just feeling a lot more pressure, and probably not going to be favored, whether it's the Spurs or the Thunder. But Game 7 on Sunday, on Saturday, Blake. Sorry, on Sunday, Saturday. We got Victor Wembanyama.
It's a massive one.
And the stakes don't get any better than this. Probably the biggest game in the NBA season by far. We got the big freshman, taller than me, Victor Wembanyama.
Way taller than you.
Oh yeah,
not even close, actually.
I know. Not even close. Where they completely took over, and they completely took over, and they took better advantage, and they outplayed the Thunder OKC in Game 6. Now in a winner take all Game 7, where the good news is that the Oklahoma City can bounce back because their game plan at home, but at the same time you're facing pressure, and the Spurs and the Spurs team is going to be showing up. So Stephon Castle and this Spurs team is, and so this Spurs team is going to show up. They are going to show up mentality, no matter if they're playing on the road or at home. This is going to be a must-watch game on Saturday, and I expect fireworks. It's going to be It's going to be electric. The crowd's going to be loud. We all know that. But it's
What's
going
your
to be.
pick?
But it's going to be a pivotal, big time game. Everything on the line. This game's going to go on the wire. It's going to be. It's going to be the biggest game and by far the season. And I think people might agree with me, but this could be the new rivalry in the NBA and the Western Conference. But you
I haven't
know,
heard a pick yet.
I'll get that in a second. I'm telling you, but I am telling you that we will make our picks in a second. But right now, Coach Mitch Johnson has turned this thing around ever since the Greg Popovich days and Tony Parker and the Spurs. The dynasty is not dead, and I'm here to tell you that they are still in this thing for a reason. And Dronte Fox and Harris Barnes and the Frenchman Victor Wembanyama and all of those guys. They're on Fox and those guys and Carter Bryant and Heron Barnes and all those guys really showed up. But I don't know. I'm gonna be. This is gonna be a very close call for me, Blake. But so far, but Coach Mark D'Antonio and Jalen Williams and Alex Caruso and Jake Harper and those guys. I was going to pick the Spurs San Antonio, but I'm going to be leaning towards OKC because they play at home. They bounce back after a loss, and OKC will go to the NBA Finals, and they're going to be facing the New York Knicks, and yes, the Knicks have a lot to celebrate for, but not for long. But no respect to Spike Lee and those guys, but they will be facing the New York Knicks, and think about it. New York City in general, they last won a championship in the city since New York Liberty did it back 2 years ago in 2024. The Yankees were in the World Series back in 2024, and they lost to the Dodgers. But as much as I love I think City is favored to win the NBA Finals or Spurs, no matter who they face.
Yeah, I think the Western team will be favored for sure.
Yeah, but I have OKC winning in the
Ooh.
West.
Okay.
There we go.
7 games.
I'm
There we
gonna
go.
go with the Spurs, Jack. I think Wembanyama is a big game player, and like you mentioned, you don't get much bigger than a game 7 with a trip to the finals on the line. I think the Thunder style of play has caused a bit of controversy. Obviously, a lot of people questioning some of the officiating we've seen so far in this series. I think game 7, there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on the calls, on the fouls, and I think Wembanyama will dominate and take the Spurs to the finals. So yeah, give me San Antonio. Mike, who do you like in this one, man?
Well, I think the Spurs are playing with house money.
Mm-hmm.
I got, this is a coin flip, but the coin I flipped landed on Spurs.
Okay.
I think the Spurs will win. I like the way Dylan Harper had a game 6.
Yeah.
I think if he repeats in game has a solid game in game 7, yeah. And the season record between the Thunder and the Spurs, Spurs have won 7 and OKC has won 4. So it'll be a tight one, but the
It's
Spurs will
about
win.
as tight as you can get for sure.
Yeah.
BL Lemberg, you gonna split us here, or what do you think?
Spurs win, and I'm gonna tell you what, the 3 is
Ooh.
for the cheapest ticket at the first Knicks playoff game for the NBA Finals. 3,000 3,000 kahunas.
That is not
3,000
cheap.
big ones, Jackson.
That
Spurs
is
win.
not cheap. If you were to go to that Madison Square Garden with me, Blake Lumber, that is not cheap. Of course, I see
It's not
see
cheap.
tickets. And plus, you're a big market team, much bigger than the Charlotte Hornets.
You know what they call that, Jack?
What's that?
They call that Uncle Mike money. That's what they call that.
Yes.
Courtside.
If a basketball game is played in Staples Centers in LA and Boston and Clippers and Knicks and Brooklyn, that's a perfect example of that, Blake. That's just what it is for those big market city teams compared to Charlotte. So perfect example of that, like you said. But for me,
Why are you dragging Charlotte into this? Nobody.
well, because they're a small market team compared to like the big cities out there here in North America.
Listen, Charlotte's a much bigger city than Oklahoma City or San Antonio, so let's throw a little bit of respect.
The Big Apple of New York City,
of course,
it's way bigger than Charlotte. And think about
Absolutely. The demand for the finals, obviously you mentioned the finals being back
yes.
in New York City for the first time since 1999. Obviously, it's going to be quite the big spectacle up there in the Big Apple, isn't it?
That's right, Blake. And I found out that when the Boston Celtics won a championship was back in '73, like Mike said, in 1970. They have a shot and chance, but it won't be easy. But I think Oklahoma City or the Spurs, whoever wins Game 7, will probably be better in favor of that game. But if New York would have a chance, if they stay healthy, I would look at players like OG Numbanobi, Michael Bridges, my guy Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart. One of those guys went to Villanova, and they say New York's better than Philadelphia against my dad's 36ers, but who cares? I mean, the Knicks are in the finals for a reason. But anyway, if you look at this Knicks team, they were almost eliminated. They were almost eliminated and almost lost to Atlanta in the second round of the series. And Philadelphia got make things interesting, but the Knicks still found a way. And 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 so really, if you think about it, the Knicks had some close calls in their previous series in the round in the playoffs against Atlanta. Was so close to beating them. The Philadelphia had a shot. They had a shot, but the Knicks just still found a way. It's really this back and forth of this back and forth roller coaster of this emotional feel of how this playoffs haven't gone for the Eastern Conference lately. But really, Josh Hart and Carl Anthony Towns and those guys, those boys really stepped it up. And Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson, those guys, the Josh Hart, the Villanova trios, and those guys really found a way. Spike Lee's gonna be excited. New York City basketball is back, and if they win the NBA championship, the city's going to go crazy on Manhattan. The people have something to celebrate. The Yankees almost did it, Mike. They didn't, but they didn't win it. But I think but the Giants did it back in 2012 in football. The Jets. Well, obviously the Jets are a complete joke to me. They haven't won anything since like
Why
1969.
are you talking about the Jets?
I'm talking about the moon. I mean, come on. Listen, Blake. I'm trying to get New
No,
York
I
City
get to
some
your
love.
for sure, for sure. To your point, New York City has not had a great team like this. Obviously, the Yankees made the series a couple years ago. They were outclassed comprehensively against the Dodgers. So this is a big moment, obviously,
Yeah.
compared to other teams in New York City, Mike, like the Knicks, the Yankees, like these are big historic franchises with big
Hmm.
history. So you don't get much bigger than the NBA Finals in New York City at Madison Square
No,
Garden, do you?
no, you don't. But you've said the key right, yes, several times. Team. The Knicks are playing like a team, you know, and I think that's going to carry them. Not that the Spurs aren't playing like a team, because the Spurs are playing like a team, but the Knicks are playing solid like a team.
Wait until you see Madison Square Garden of how excited the crowd's going to be and electric. The fans, you can feel the atmosphere. It's going to go crazy.
Yeah,
In
it's
fact,
good.
in fact, the entire city of New York, in fact, the entire metropolitan area of the tri-state of New York City is going to go crazy. They're going to go
Yeah,
crazy, Mike.
it's going to be
Guys,
as electric in MSG as a Billy Joel concert.
there you
Maybe even
go.
more.
That's a great way to put it there. I agree. I
All
agree.
right, Jack, you want to get us wrapped up here, man?
Yes, great weekend, guys, of Good Guys Sports. Hope everybody has a great weekend. But before I go, I do have some exciting news I want to share with you. This Sunday, me, Dad, and brother and I are going to go to the Corn Ferry Tour at the Raleigh Country Club.
Let's go.
So look for us there. And maybe we can do some Good Guys Sports shorts content while we're there. So keep an eye out on that.
Absolutely.
Jackson, one of my buddies I used to play volleyball with, Kyle Westmoreland, may be playing in that tournament. So look out for him. He's the only veteran to ever make it past the cut in a major, in a PGA major tournament. So look out for him. He's about 240, 6'4", and plays golf. So he's going to be long. So keep a heads up when he tees off. Don't get hit by one of those balls, okay?
I will try my best, and I will keep my eyes open for you. I promise.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right.
All right.
Good show today, Jack.
Great show, everybody. Have a great weekend. Enjoy Good Guys Sports, and we will talk to you guys next week as we break down our FIFA World Cup as the men's United States roster has been revealed. We will get to all that next week, and we will talk about which players have been snubbed, and then we'll also break down the latest of the other teams rosters across the nation and the world. We will get to all that next week. But for now, enjoy your weekend at Good Guy Sports. I'm Josh Gerke signing off, and everybody have a great weekend, and we will talk to you guys next Friday.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, gentlemen. Bye
See you
now.
guys.